years, I tried to escape, to fly away. This is my flag because I am Korean, the taegukgi. And this has been what I've been trying to run away from. Or maybe not exactly. More on that in a bit. For the past 5 years, I worked 5 different jobs, traveled to 10 countries, worked with 4 immigration lawyers, entered the visa lottery 2 times, and packed more suitcases than I can count. Almost nothing in my life lasted for more than a year, but there was one thing I stayed consistent about. My desire to leave South Korea and work in the United States. On January 21st, 2025, I got a notice that my work visa had been approved. 9 weeks ago, I moved to my new apartment in Portland, Oregon. 7 weeks ago, my parents came to visit me in America. I finally made it. But what drove much of my effort over the past 5 years wasn't just about working in the United States. It was my desire to step outside the rigid expectations of my culture, a prescribed path, to get away from the weight of what's so-called nunchi, a Korean concept, a constant awareness of how others might perceive you, constantly monitoring how the social cues and thinking about how others would react. And nunchi creates an unspoken rule to conform, to not stand out. In Korea, race begins when you're a toddler with something called 사세고시. It's an exam for 4-year-olds to get into elite English kindergartens. 80% of Korean students participate in private education called hagwon, cram schools. They spend an average of 42 hours a week, and this is 18 hours more than the average of OECD countries. 18 hours more than the 38 countries that are the richest in the world. Once I taught a student who studied very hard and aced on every quiz. One day, she kept making the same mistake on all questions and resulted in getting 50. It was a simple error, not lack of understanding. But she burst into tears. I tried reassuring her, but what she said next broke my heart. She said, if I don't score 100, my mom won't let me back inside my home. This child was 7 years old. In a culture that worships perfection, there was too little room for grace, for exploration, for being human. Where success is measured by university names, salary buckets, job titles, even the brand of apartment you live in. Happiness isn't something you choose for yourself. It's something that you have to prove to your parents, teachers, peers, even to strangers. And this pressure has costs. South Korea has the highest suicide rate among the OECD countries. Suicide is the #1 cause of death for teenagers, and it has been that way for over the past decade. In 2023, it accounted for nearly half of all teen deaths. This is ironic because in so many ways, South Korea looks like a success story. It tops the OECD rankings in university enrollment with 75%. It ranks 14th in global economy, 6th in innovation, 7th in culture and art. So we can build, we can make art. Yet South Korea ranks surprisingly low, 52nd in the World Happiness Report. Life moves so fast in Korea that I felt guilty taking a few seconds to make my coffee order, acutely aware of everyone else's time, and the pressure to be efficient and avoid seeming inconsiderate took away the capability to simply pause and think about what you want. This all felt normal until I transferred to an international school in Thailand at age 8. I did well, as I was trained, because I am Korean. I solve fast, memorize faster, and take pride in getting the right answer the fastest. So one day, I shouted out an answer, as I often did, and my math teacher stopped me and asked, "That's the answer, but do you understand how it works? And I couldn't explain. I had been prioritizing efficiency and external validation over true understanding. That day marked a turning point. I began to ask why, not just accept what. It opened a wider world where curiosity was valued as much as conformity. And later, I poured myself into learning English because when I speak in English, I found a different personality, and it's still that way. The environment where I learned it gave me the room to express myself and ask questions, push back, and speak up in many ways that my own culture restricted. It gave me the confidence to move myself forward, helping me move beyond myself. Returning to Korea, I was thrown back into the silent race. Learning took a backseat to getting into top schools. Learning took a backseat, getting into top schools, and classes focused on memorizations and rules instead of real learning. Questioning the system felt like a rebellion, and sharing my experience abroad created a sense of disconnect, so I quieted myself down. To fit in, I felt the pressure to conform, and I wanted to escape this pressure. The internship in the US was a way for me to escape, something that seemed cool to my parents and peers, while delaying asking harder questions. Landing in the US for the first time, I felt the cultural difference. People said hi. There were conversations not just about work or life, but about work or school, but about life. They didn't rush, they paused, asked questions, and at the cafe counter, they took time to choose their coffee. There was space to make choices for oneself and choose their own path and change it if it didn't fit. I made friends with a psychology student who later changed to civil engineering just to make the city more beautiful. The company that I worked for, the CEO was a Harvard Law School graduate, but instead of pursuing a traditional legal career, he decided to run a nonprofit dedicated to supporting democracy. As an intern, I was given opportunities to make suggestions and make proposals. And so here, regardless of title, people were trusted with autonomy. Returning to Korea for the second time, the contrast hit even harder. Approval and authenticity, perfection and experimentation, conformity and curiosity. I struggled between who I wanted to be and what was expected. This tension pulled back and forth, and I wanted to escape this tension, and so I wanted to go back to America to work. My journey to getting the work visa was a 5-year, 6-stage of Odyssey of trials and errors. In 2019, after I returned, I applied for the visa lottery for the first time. I was not selected, so I looked outwards, searching for other opportunities. I joined a program helping global founders come to Korea, and there I met entrepreneurs from 30 different countries. Their purpose-driven work reignited a feeling that I had glimpsed abroad. I was invited to a Silicon Valley accelerator program where I observed something that I hadn't seen back home. Founders launching early messy products, iterating in public, failing fast, and learning faster. So it's a stark contrast of the pursuit of perfection from Korea. I wanted to bridge these worlds. So returning home, I joined a company helping startups go global. But in the process, I noticed a pattern where programs were built to check boxes and follow templates instead of pursuing insights. So it made me think, instead of trying to export founders outwards, maybe I need to bring these thinkings home, inwards. So next year, I launched a startup with a friend focused on inclusivity and cultural connection. We hosted global visitors, and through their eyes, I saw my own culture differently. The same Nunsi culture I found stifling, they admired it for its grace, its order, its intention. So I realized a short internship in the US hadn't been enough. To understand deeper, I felt the pull to return, to learn more deeper abroad. In 2024, I received another chance to apply for the visa had reopened. And this time, I was selected. I thought I had made it. But then came the interview. Then came the request for additional documents. I stayed up through the nights juggling work and communication across 3 time zones, and compiling documents, submitting a 100-page long business plan, and I waited. And I waited. I would like to say I was patiently waiting, but I was not patient. I checked the USCIS website every day, and checking became its own discipline. And every day, that screen would say the same thing: administrative processing. And one day, that screen changed with a big word: approval. So I could barely believe it. I thought I would cry when I found out, but I was too surprised to even cry. I texted my US colleague and sponsor, called my parents, and after I calmed down a little bit, it hit me. The very values and habits that I was trying to escape were the source of my superpowers. Trying again after failure, working late nights, meticulously planning, the discipline, even checking the screen over and over again. Those weren't acts of rebellion, they were acts of resilience and grit. All rooted in my culture, all grounded in the cultural habits that I was trying to escape. I wasn't just running away, I was running towards something, bringing my roots with me. In this very effort to go abroad, I had never been more Korean. So, in Korea, we have a phrase, my favorite phrase, called 온고지신. It's from Confucius, a metaphor from cooking. It means to warm up the old, to create a new, learn from the new. It's a reminder that our effort is not about just clinging to the past, nor abandoning it, but about stirring it, reheating it, so that we can nourish something new. I left Thailand 16 years ago with a single lesson: ask why. And asking why helped me question the rigid systems in Korea, led me to an internship in the US, and that experience made me want to bring these lessons home. It wasn't a straight path. I wandered. I switched jobs multiple times. My parents and friends were worried. But I learned from the detours. I learned to see the cracks and the beauty in Korean culture and abroad. We can ease the pressure. We can make space for students to ask questions and be safe when we fail. So that maybe one day, a 7-year-old don't have to cry because of a test score. And here's the twist. That internship that I took so that I can avoid harder questions 5 years ago, the same CEO came back to me, helped me to get a visa with a new opportunity, and I took it. Landed in America 9 weeks ago. 7 weeks ago, my parents came to visit me in America. It was my mom's first time and her long-held dream. By wandering to my path, I somehow fulfilled hers. And maybe that's how growth works. Letting go of fixed paths or expectations, saying goodbye to people, jobs, plans, but carrying the pieces that shaped you along the way forward, not as burdens, but as part of you that makes you your unique self. Maybe you've been trying to break free from something that you thought was holding you back. Or maybe you've struggled to be your full self because who you want to be is different from what's expected of you. But what if it's not either or? What if it's both and? What if you're stuck in nunsi, too stuck in how others might perceive you? Or maybe you need some ongojishin that to reheat the old even while you learn something new. I thought I was wanting to leave this, but maybe not. Learning to live in the tension between the mixed cultures has been the key to finding my path. The red and the blue in the Korean flag, the taeguk, represents eumyan, harmony of opposing forces. What if the effort is to find our taeguk, our eumyan, that balance in each of us? Today, I carry the taeguk beat, the red and the blue, inside me, because I am Korean, no matter how far I fly. Thank you.